Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is David Ryman, Vice President of Marketing for Victory Innovations. Super excited to have our fourth and final Keep Kids Healthy webinar for infection prevention. What we say is for schools. It really is for anybody that's involved with kids or communities and keeping your communities safe. Hey, as we're waiting we got a couple hundred folks that are going to be joining us. So as we're waiting for them to jump on board, I just want to go through just a little bit of housekeeping on here, just so that we all get on the same page. One of the things is everybody is coming in muted. So if you have any questions or anything to that effect during the webinar, on your control panel, you'll have a questions tab or a chat tab. Feel free to put anything in there, questions, comments, whatever you might want, and we'll go ahead and address those as we go forward. There also is a handout section, so we have 5 handouts. We'll reference what those handouts are throughout the webinar, but we have those so you can download those at any particular time, so that you'll have those valuable resources as we go along. So hey, as we want to get started here, we have some guests on the line with us. I think the greatest benefits of these webinars is by having some industry experts with us. So we do have from Global Biorisk Advisory Council, GBAC, we have Patty Olinger. She's the Executive Director that's on this call with us as well. We have Steve Earhart from GBAC as well. That's the Director of Program Management. And then my good friend Michael Gabrielson, who is the Director of Membership and Outreach for ISSA. So one of the things we're going to do a little bit unique and different here is Patty is a highly sought after individual. So she actually cannot stay on this webinar with us the entire time, but she did want to come on and just at least address everybody that's on there and give some words of wisdom before she has to duck off to something else, and then we'll proceed with the webinar. So Patty, I want to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, David. And I just wanted to, thank Victory Innovations for their support for ISSA, for GBAC, and for the Keep Kids Healthy campaign. It is a wonderful campaign that, as David indicated, is to keep our kids healthy, to keep our communities healthy, whether it's in schools, K through 12, or community centers where kids are. Being a mom of two boys, that's been something that's near and dear to my heart. Even though they're older now, have been there with the school systems. And so I understand, the concerns that go along with this. This is a wonderful campaign. And again, really thank Victory for doing this for our school systems. Enjoy today's seminar. I'm going to leave you from a GBAC standpoint with our Director of Programs from Steve Earhart, and then Michael Gabrielson from ISSA. Again, just want to thank you guys for everything, and we're heading into the flu season here. So even though we're all focused and everybody keeps thinking and all we hear about is SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19, this campaign helps us also with other things such as flu outbreaks, staph, strep, you name it. We want to keep our kids healthy and keep our communities healthy. So thank you. Get your flu shot, and have a wonderful webinar.
That'd be good. Thank you, Patty, for all of your wisdom and advice and expertise in this. So we'll go ahead and jump right into this. Hey, we're all on camera now, but I'm going to duck off camera for this as we just go right into our presentation. So we'll just focus on, you guys should hopefully see the slide that's on there for infection prevention webinar for schools. And let's dive into a little bit of what is Keep Kids Healthy. And for the past 3 years, we at Victory Innovations have started this campaign, and we really want to be strategic about when we launch Keep Kids Healthy. We had it in the month of October for exactly what Patty just referenced. It's the start of flu season. If we act now and we're very proactive with a host of things, whether it be a flu shot or really focus on infection prevention, we really can prevent the outbreak getting further away from us, or more and more people getting infected, especially in the school areas. And as schools start to open back up and communities start to open back up, it's so important. So 2 years ago, we just gave away sprayers. We gave away sprayers to almost 700 schools, estimated helping about 2 million kids to stay safe that flu season. And last year, we gave away more sprayers as well, but we really wanted schools as they were purchasing them, we want to give them incentives. So as they invested in their program, we want to be there with them as they invested. And we gave away a bunch of sprayers, and we estimated that we helped about 1 million kids last year. And then this year, one of the things that we really saw was probably the bigger need, bigger than just sprayers, was actually education. So that's one of the things that we're giving away this year with Keep Kids Healthy. This webinar is one of 4. We've given these away for free that you can be involved with them. We're doing giveaways and drawings, which I'll get to here in a minute. And we've estimated that so far, just in the first 3 weeks of Keep Kids Healthy, based on all the schools throughout the U.S. that have been working closely with us and getting educated, that we've helped about 1.2 million kids so far. Our goal is 3 million kids to help this year with Keep Kids Healthy, and everybody that's on this call is a part of making that happen, which is great. Now, listen, I do know, because I do a lot of these webinars, that it is when you're talking to custodians or janitors and building service contractors and folks that you guys are hardworking individuals, and to get you to sit for 1 hour and listen to a webinar is like caging a wild animal. So I wanted to make sure that we created some excitement and some interaction and some ways to keep you involved. So, hey, for the first 3 webinars, and we'll do it now for the 4th one, we're going to give away 5 of our Victory backpacks. So that's over $10,000 worth of backpacks. We're also going to give away 5 of GBAC's fundamental online training course. It's amazing, for you to take. So we'll be giving that away to those folks that are on today's live webinar. So if you're listening to a recording of this, you're not eligible for these giveaways. But if you're on the live one, like we have a few hundred on board, you are eligible for it. And let me tell you how you're going to be involved, or how you can enter to win these. And it's by answering poll questions. So I want to pull this first poll question up. What's really good about these poll questions, let me go back. What's really good about these is I get to see who is interacting with us, who's involved, who's engaged. So I want to know why you are on this webinar. Are you on this webinar because you really care about kids in your school and community? Or maybe you're on here because, David, I've heard about the giveaways and $10,000 of sprayers, and GBAC training is amazing. Or maybe that you just love being on webinars and you just couldn't wait to be on another one. This is your glutton for punishment with webinars. Or maybe you heard that we were going to have our professionals and partners from ISSA and GBAC, that they were going to be on this call and you wanted to be on this as well. Or maybe full transparency, you're like, honestly, David, my boss told me I had to be here, so that's why I'm on here. So pick which one that you think is best represents you. And again, it's cool because I can see everybody that's engaging and interacting and getting involved. And the more times that you involve with these polls, that's how you'll be entered to win these giveaways that we're going to be doing today. So we got a lot of people involved, not everybody, but let's go ahead and close this out, and I will share these results. And I'm very happy to hear that a majority of you, almost 80% of you, are here because you really care about your kids, your school, and your community. And that, hey, listen, a large portion, 12% too, knew that we're going to have professionals on here and want to hear from professionals about infection prevention. And then those 3% that are in full transparency that their boss told me how to be here, so that's why they're on this call. Listen, I hope that we add some value to your day with the content and information that you're going to find on this webinar. So let me move right away to a second question for you. We'll just dive right into this again. And I want to know, have you attended a live webinar from Victory before? For some of you, it's like, yeah, I try to attend every single one that Victory has. They're awesome. Or maybe some of you are like, I've attended 1 or 2 in the past, but I'm ready for this one. Or maybe some of you is like, I haven't attended the live ones, but I've listened to the recorded webinars in the past. Or maybe it's like, David, I've never been a part of these webinars ever, but I'm excited to be here. Or maybe it's this last one of, honestly, I'm on so many webinars, I can't even remember, right? So pick which one you think is for you. And we got a lot of people on board, so we'll go ahead and close this out right away. And it looks like a majority are new first-time Victory webinar, which is awesome, which is what we love to hear, that you guys are new to this, so that you can really see the value that we're bringing to this Keep Kids Healthy campaign, which is super. So here's, as we move along into this, is there is this movement happening within this janitorial sanitization industry, and it's this concept around leading the charge with infection prevention. And for us here at Victory, words matter. So infection prevention is different than infection control, which would insinuate that there's an outbreak. And is there a way to do things proactively? And so we want to invite everybody that's on this call today to join us in this movement, right? And the fact that you're here on this webinar is a good example that you want to be a part of this movement of doing things differently. And there's this quote from a good friend of mine named Daryl Hicks, and he has this, and he says, "Give me a room filled with well-trained custodians, and I'll tell you that they save more lives than a room full of doctors." And what I once thought was a very outlandish maybe quote has proven to be so true, especially in today's environment and in the current pandemic situation that we're in, right? So the folks that are on this call, you are life savers, right? You literally are saving lives. You're heroes from that perspective. And to have that mindset and to join us in this leading the charge is really, really a big thing and a mindset that we've got to really change out there within the industry. So let's just talk a little bit about, what is the agenda for today. We're gonna unpack why this is important. We're gonna dive into what the problem is, and then we're gonna spend a bulk of our time talking about the resources that are available. This is when our friends, from GBAC and ISSA will come on and tell you some very valuable resources that are out there. And then we're gonna just unpack a little bit more about what's next for Keep Kids Healthy campaign. And then, we won't get to it. I already know from all of our webinars, we will not get to it. But we do have information on here about our electrostatic sprayers and the technologies. But let me answer some of the early questions that usually come in. We are recording this webinar, so you can go back and reference it and listen to it at a later time. We will make the slide deck available to you so that you can go back and reference some of the content that's in here, and so you can look through it and at your own convenience, or share it with whomever you want to. So we'll make that available for you by tomorrow, so you can have that information for you already. So let's dive into this, why this is important, right? And I got a really good question on here, and this is, I'd be surprised if anybody knows the answer to this question, but on here is approximately how many kindergarten through college schools do you think there are in the US, right? You got numbers that range on here, and I get it, it's going to be a guess. It's just kind of a fun game at this point, but it's anywhere between 4,700 kindergarten through college schools all the way up to over 800,000. So pick which one you think is the answer, and then I'll share each of these numbers actually means something as we unpack why this is so important. So just take a guess. Looks like we got a lot of people already voting, which is great. We'll close this out, and let me share these results with you. And hey, listen, 17% of you are correct, but what I want to do is I want to show you what these numbers mean. The first number is 4,700. That's the number of Walmart stores that are in the United States. And over 275 million people shop there each week, even today during the pandemic. The 15,000 is the number of nursing homes with over 1.7 million beds in them. These facilities are highly susceptible to the coronavirus that's out there right now. The 137,000 is the number of schools, kindergarten through college, with over 76 million kids attending. 480 represents the school buses that transport over 45 million kids to and from school. And then this last one, over 846,000, that's the number of daycare providers, preschools, nurseries, what have you, that have over 12.5 million kids under the age of 5. So some of the reason of why this is so important is because we're in the people business. It's affecting people. And I want you to watch these next 3 slides. 3 weeks ago when we did this, the global number was at 35 million. The US was at 7.5. The following week, US jumped up to almost 8 million and global was 38. And just today when I pulled these numbers from Johns Hopkins University, coronavirus cases, almost 41 million, and we're almost at 8.3 million here in the US. So this coronavirus is affecting every single community in every single state here in the United States. And regardless of which political side you're on as we get closer to the election, the reality is this conversation of coronavirus and our public health is a huge, huge topic for every American and part of this political culture that we're talking about right now. It's important because this is affecting people. Right? It's important because this coronavirus is crazy right now, and most of us know about coronavirus, but here's just a little bit of a slide giving some education about it. And and then it can last on surfaces for days, and symptoms might not appear for 2 to 14 days after exposure. And so this is just, we got to know what it is. It's important that we know. But Patty said something very interesting is we're so focused on coronavirus, but we can't lose sight of influenza. This is the start of flu season, and it affected 56 million people last year here in the U.S. 26 million visited the hospital. Almost a million were actually put in the hospital, and it's 62,000 deaths. So don't be so consumed with coronavirus that we lose sight that there's other pathogens and things out there that can still harm us, and we got to get ready to fight the good fight. So it's important that we know that things are impacting us here in the U.S. And it's impacting people. And here, influenza, here's just some interesting information of how it can last on hard surfaces for 48 hours, soft surfaces for 12 hours. I mean, influenza is nothing to, if it hits you, you're going to get knocked out for a week. It's an important thing to keep our eye on. So at the end of the day, this is important, and I don't think I need to belabor this any further. It's important. Keep kids healthy is important because it's affecting our communities. It's affecting our kids. It's affecting our teachers. It's affecting everything that's happening within our communities. So it's important, and now we got to figure out what the next thing is, which is, so what is the problem? I mean, how did we even get to this part right here? And here's what we think the problem is that the way that things are being done today, or maybe yesterday, aren't working. Right? The way that we apply chemical solution is not working. And here's what's interesting is if you have a tip of a pen anywhere near you, according to our friends from the CDC, that if the tip of the pen has norovirus on it, or coronavirus, or influenza, that tip of the pen can get up to 1,000 people sick. So can you see how daunting and overwhelming the task is? And if you look around the very room that you're in right now, and you know that you have to clean and disinfect up to the tip of a pen, it can be very overwhelming. And that adds to part of the problem that's out there. And this is it's highly contagious. Some of it's easy to inactivate. You inactivate a virus, you kill a bacteria. It's easy to do that, but if you have the right protocols and processes in place. So we really do think there's this unmet need in chemical application. So let's just unpack a little bit about what is some of these ways to apply chemical solution. And the first one is you have wipes, right? And wipes are, listen, I have twin daughters that are in college, right? I also have an 8-year-old third grader. So from the collegiate level down to the elementary level, the back to school items were the exact same. Wipes, wipes, and more wipes. And for some places, this is the #1 area of defense against these pathogens and viruses that are out there. And the problem with that is most people don't use them properly, right? They're not reading the back to know that they got to leave the surface area wet for at least 5 to 10 minutes, depending on which ones you use. And that when you wipe, you got to wipe in a certain way that's only as good as about a 2x2 area. And beyond that, all you're starting to do is move contamination around. Yet we see folks use it improperly every single day, and they get frustrated when there's still outbreaks and they're like, what happened? And then you got the spray and wipe. That next category as you move up. And listen, as I travel the country and I work with folks all over the place, and you listen to them and they talk about the ways that they do their protocols with spray and wipe, and you ask, well, how long does the chemical need to stay wet for in order to get the efficacy that it claims? And that's dwell time. And they look at me like, what are you talking about? And so we have them go get their chemical solution, and they'll say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And they're like, I've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. Nobody's ever showed me that before. So you got to leave that surface wet long enough so that you can get the efficacy needed. And then you got foggers. And listen, we're moving up the level of effectiveness, and foggers are good. But listen, foggers are smaller microns, and they're going to stay in the air well beyond when you're done with the application, and they usually leave a residue on surfaces. So it just takes time, and it's time consuming, it's expensive. You got to go back down and wipe everything afterwards. And so it's effective, but it's just very time consuming. And then you got this electrostatic technology. And listen, I want you to hear my heart on this and hear Victory's heart on this. We put our competitors up here as well, because the industry is moving towards this technology of electrostatic. So whether you use ours or our competitors, the reality is this is where it's going as it pertains to applying chemical solution in a very, very effective way, so that you can get up to a tip of a pen and knock out any of those viruses or pathogens that are in your facilities. So here's a good question for everybody that's on here, right? This is that we're all professionals. This should be some easy questions for us now, but I'm interested to know if you on this call know the difference between cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting. Is it that sanitizing is the removal of visible soil and debris? Or maybe that cleaning kills pathogens and disease-causing microorganisms? Or maybe it's that disinfecting, it's the reduction of bacteria to safe levels? Or maybe it's like, oh, David, there is no difference. They mean the same thing. Or maybe is it none of the above are true? So answer which one you think it is. I'm noticing that the responses are coming in a little bit slower, so you're having to pause and think about like which one could it be, right? So go ahead and pick which one you think it is, and if you don't know, then maybe take a guess on which you think it might be. But I want to make sure we have everybody's answers in here that we can, right? Because this will be some interesting results as we come out. We almost got everybody. I know you're not clicking the button out there, so I can see. So we got almost everybody here. Let's go ahead and close this out. And let's share these results. And I want to go through these with you. Sanitization is the removal of visible soil and debris. That's cleaning, right? That's the definition of cleaning. Cleaning then kills pathogens and disease-causing microorganisms. No, that's disinfecting. Disinfecting, which 47% of you said was, hey, that's the reduction of bacteria to safe levels. That's actually sanitizing. And then 3% of you, while only 3% of you on this poll said, hey, there is no difference, they mean the same thing. The reality is when I go out into the field, majority of the people answer that way, or they interchange those words to show that that's what they're referencing. But 45% of you, virtual high fives, virtual chest bumps, you're right, none of the above are true. And we need to really be a group of folks on this call that understand that. In fact, our friends from the CDC will tell you that the number one thing you could do to battle coronavirus, to battle influenza, is to intimately know the definitions of each of those and know the proper steps to get those. So you clean to remove soil, but listen, our friends from GBAC will tell you there's two reasons to clean. You either clean for appearance or you clean for health, right? And you want to challenge yourself not to just do the visual, cleaning for appearance. You want to clean for health. And then disinfecting can be overwhelming because there's so many of these chemicals that are out there, and you got a low-grade disinfectant and a high-grade and a hospital grade, and listen, it can be overwhelming when you walk into a Target or a Walmart and you go down their disinfecting aisle, and there's so many to choose from, but a lot of them are really low level, right? So when you want to be a professional that's disinfecting, our friends from GBAC have the perfect definition. Professional disinfectant is utilizing EPA registered hospital grade tuberculoside with a log 6 kill proven to kill both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria and inactivate both enveloped and non-enveloped viruses. And listen, if you're anything like me, when I first read that out, there's words in there that I was like, what are you talking about? Right? But we as experts, we as infection prevention experts need to know what gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria are and what enveloped and non-enveloped viruses are so that we can make sure we're matching the right chemical solution to inactivate or kill those. And then log reduction is a huge, huge thing, right? And listen, we're peanut butter spreading this, but you can unpack each of these so much further in depth. But a lot of our disinfectants that we see out there have this log 3 kill reduction. And I've had a chemical company, I was in a presentation the other day that said that a log 3 kill reduction is no better than hot soap and water. Yeah, we spend so much money on these disinfectants that have a log 3 reduction on them, where you could save a lot of money by using really good hot soap and water with good technique and still achieve a log 3 reduction. But if you want to start knocking down and reducing those colony forming units down to the lowest number possible, so that even after you do all the hard work of cleaning and disinfecting, that you know that surface area is safe, look for the log 4, 5, or 6, whether it be in hand sanitizer or wipes or in a disinfectant, right? It's critical to know that. So here's another question for us as experts that are on this call: is which virus or bacteria or fungi is the most resistant and requires the most powerful chemical solution to kill? Is it tuberculoside? Is it C. diff? Is this crazy coronavirus and you already saw the numbers and how it's affecting everybody worldwide? Is it HIV, the HIV virus? Or maybe it's the staph and MRSA that everybody hears so much about. So listen, answer this again, similar to the other question, and the answers are coming in a little slower. And listen, that's okay. That's why you're on these type of webinars, to educate yourself. But just guess which one you think would require the most powerful chemical solution in order to inactivate or kill. So we'll go ahead and go through this. We've almost got a few more folks out there. Make sure we capture everybody's answer, and we'll close this. And let me go through these answers with you. So the answer is actually 34% of you got it right. It's C. diff. The spores on that, very, very hard, requires very powerful chemical, right? But the other ones on here, I want to show you this slide right here, because this is a good example of how you need easy disinfectants all the way up to, oops, apologize for that. Looks like my PowerPoint. Let me just relaunch it here real quick. My PowerPoint just shut down on me, but that's okay. But you look at the presentations that are out there, and the spores are so hard to get out there. But our friends from coronavirus, and I'll load this up for you here in a minute, but our friends from coronavirus is actually a very, very easy virus to inactivate. But it's just super, super contagious. So you don't need necessarily the highest grade. And I'll go ahead and launch this back up and share it with you guys here. Let me launch this out, and apologize for this. All right, let's go ahead and put this right there. All right. So you can see these pathogens in the let me go ahead and show it. And we'll put it onto slideshow. Perfect. So you can just see where coronavirus is and HIV, but when you look to MRSA and staph and ultimately norovirus, which we lose sight of sometime, and tuberculosis, so it's really important that on here you just know what you're battling so you can get the right chemical solution. And then this next slide that we have on here, this is how long pathogens last on surfaces, right? From hours to days to weeks to months to years. It can be really overwhelming. So we got to make sure we're doing our job with cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting services properly. So as we move forward here, let's start diving into really what are the resources out there that are available. And there's some things that I want to know from everybody that's on this call right here. Like, I would love to know, as we dive into here, just regarding a infection prevention protocol. Does your school or maybe your facility, I want to know which one of these do you have? Did you have a disinfecting protocol before coronavirus started? Did you develop one since the pandemic began? Or maybe you're currently working on one right now? Or maybe it's like, we don't formally have one, or at least not that I know of. I'm not even sure. Or maybe it's like, help me, right? We need help. What we have today is not working. So just pick which one represents best your school or your facility. And listen, if you don't know, if you're sitting there looking at the question like, I don't know, right? I mean, obviously it'd be those last two answers that you have on there. So we got a majority of folks that are starting to answer. And listen, the results are always amazing to me, but it's good that we kind of get this common answer out there for everybody that's on this call. So we'll go ahead and close this out, and let me share these results with you. So 26% of you, which is great, you had something that before the pandemic even started. Another 31% has developed one since then, but that still leaves about 50% that's either working on something, or maybe you don't formally know if you have one. We want to, by the time we're done with this webinar and this training, how do we move that number to really the 100% that you have some protocol in place for that. And so before I bring on our friends from GBAC and ISSA, I would love to know how familiar everybody is on this call with these experts that we're about to bring on. Some of you are very familiar with both and utilize their resources weekly. Maybe some of you are more familiar with ISSA, but you haven't heard much about GBAC, or maybe it's the other way around. You've heard more about GBAC, but you don't know about ISSA, or maybe you have heard of them, yet they're really not a reason for your success. It's like, that's nice. Or maybe I've never heard of either of them, and nor have I engaged with them, right? So that could be your answer as well, which is totally fine, but just pick which one best represents you as we get ready to introduce these experts and give you some really, really valuable resources out there. So it looks like we've got most everybody in here, which is great. And we'll go ahead and close this out. This is going to be the last poll that we have out there. So let me share these results with everybody. And it looks like a majority of the folks either are more familiar with ISSA or haven't really heard of either of them. And so listen, another key takeaway, if you don't take anything else away from this webinar, just know that the resources you're about to hear and the information you're about to have is truly truly invaluable. So with that, I'd love to bring on board Steve Earhart, Director of Program Management for GBAC. And Steve, can you just bless us going through what is GBAC and some of the great resources that you guys have available, please?
Absolutely. Thanks again, David, for hosting us. Thanks everybody for taking the time to go through this webinar with us. We always are, as Patty said, thrilled to partner with Victory, especially now with the Keep Kids Healthy campaign. Our goal is to try and help any way we can with the school systems get back to some level of normalcy, but doing it safely. One housekeeping note, if I have a bit of an echo, I apologize. I'm in a giant convention center all by myself right now. So you may get a little echo, but try not to let it be too distracting. Next slide, please, David. There we go. In January of this year, Patty, the executive director of GBAC, wrote an article for ISSA Today, a publication through ISSA, about a pandemic being imminent, but we are not prepared. And lo and behold, her prophecy was fulfilled, unfortunately. And what she really focused on in this piece was the cleaning and disinfecting community being so essential to being prepared. And as the last slide showed, GBAC our motto is prepare, respond, and recover. So the pandemic has obviously opened all of our eyes to having to do that. And what this also is helping us realize is there is a huge gap in training, going from emergency response, trying to handle a crisis like this from an emergency standpoint, but then get into a more frontline janitorial housekeeping side of things and making this our new normal routine so we can be more prepared for the next thing or just for flu season in general. So ISSA is a world-leading trade association and nonprofit for the cleaning and disinfecting community. We have roughly 10,000 corporate members across the globe, and that's within 100 different countries throughout the entire world. So GBAC is a division of that focuses on bio-risk management. So what that means is how do you perform a risk assessment? How do you evaluate risk within the cleaning and disinfecting activities and tasks at your facility? How do you write your standard operating procedures? Are they general? Are they prescriptive? How do you understand the chemistry in cleaning and disinfecting products and how those relate to different biological hazards? So with that, we utilize our vast network of resources we have available through GBAC. So we have a scientific advisory board that is comprised of people from many different disciplines, but a heavy focus on biorisk management and regulation. We have resources in the CDC, the World Health Organization, several doctors of infectious disease that travel around and perform life-saving research, homeland security experts, public health professors that teach at Penn State and Harvard, and then beyond all of the scientific backgrounds that these people have, we also have ISSA's vast network of members throughout the world that we can lean on in the cleaning and disinfecting world to aid and have that partnership. So a huge shift has taken place, obviously, in the world of cleaning and disinfecting. And as David mentioned, going from looks, how does it look, how does it smell? And that's how we constitute how something is clean. Now we're cleaning to remove pathogens. We're taking it to a more hygienic level of cleanliness. So beyond just cleaning and disinfecting, now we're looking at the preventative measures. How do we prevent infectious disease? What controls can be implemented outside of just cleaning and disinfecting? The two most common that everyone is well aware of at this point: wearing a mask and creating physical distance. So you've all seen the floor markings and the signage and different companies and facilities requiring you to wear a mask. Those are wonderful controls to help stop the spread of a respiratory disease. But we also get into things that involve more engineering controls, HVAC systems, new technologies that come out, electrostatic sprayers, UV light technology. So different things like that that we're looking at, that we can lean on that scientific advisory board to help us conduct some of this evidence-based research, just to see what is truly effective. And then beyond that, how do we then validate? Again, going from does it look good, does it smell good, to how do I actually validate? How do I take a surface and I know that cleaning and disinfecting has taken place and it's been effective? So there's several methods that we can look at there, ranging from a visual inspection to an ATP meter or other technologies used to do that. So GBAC's original training was really focused on the emergency response side of things. So as you can see in these pictures on the left, it's fully suited up, respirators on, gloves, no skin showing. Now really needing to shift the focus on the routine cleaning, the frontline cleaning, the not only the responding to contamination, but preventing contamination in the first place. So the world has definitely changed its views on cleaning, and this need for training is certainly growing and not slowing. GBAC's original model was a lot of face-to-face training, conducted all over the country usually, and sometimes internationally. Obviously, we've had to kind of shift our focus and go more online. So we created an online fundamentals course. It's about 2.5 hours long, self-paced, focuses a lot on the pandemic, but the cleaning and disinfecting fundamentals that go beyond what we've seen. So we want to look further into how do you conduct a risk assessment? How do you decide what PPE to wear? How do you decide what chemistry to use? What is the dwell time or the contact time necessary to do what that chemistry is claiming? You know, going from a spray and wipe and you just get it wet and it looks clean to actually getting the chemistry to do the work. What tools and equipment are you using? Are you trained to use them properly? And heavily focused on documentation. Documentation is extremely important in validating what you're doing. The training says it quite a bit, but if it is not documented, then it never happened. So the documentation of these things is very, very important. So going from the training, we recognized a big gap in the industry, and particularly now with consumer confidence or even employee confidence coming into a facility. So what GBAC has done is created what we call a GBAC Star Facility Accreditation. And what this is basically a system, a performance-based system that we help in guiding a facility create a very comprehensive cleaning, disinfectant, and infectious disease prevention program. And we use common quality assurance and quality management systems to make sure we have a continuous improvement model in place. So over time, this program doesn't just disappear if a vaccine never comes out or once we get this under control. This is something that we want to continue and help fight other things down the road once we have this pandemic under control. So what this is geared towards is not just a customer experience or getting a guest back into a hotel or getting kids back into schools. This is also geared towards the frontline housekeeping staff and the employees that work in these facilities, making sure that what is being asked of them is reasonable and can be done with confidence, and that employee feels confident that they are taking the necessary steps to reduce risk in what's being asked of them. So we've had a great response to this program. We've had the entire Hyatt portfolio of hotels throughout the world is going through this process. Many convention centers. Myself, I'm responsible for arenas and stadiums. The Miami Dolphins were the first ones to jump on. We've got the Staples Center in Los Angeles. We've got the Mighty Ducks. We've got the San Francisco Giants. I just had a phone call with Fenway Park yesterday. So more and more of these big public venues are jumping on to try and get us, the fans, back in the stadiums, but do it safely. So we're at roughly 300 accredited facilities so far in the last couple months, and well over 2,000 applicants. On this slide, it goes through our 20 elements that go into this facility accreditation program. So this is a couple things I've already mentioned: risk assessments, SOPs for cleaning and disinfecting, making sure those are good and robust and understood, how to create those and how to follow those. But we get into, things like inventory control, making sure that if there is ever another shortage in supplies, which may happen with an impending second wave here in the fall, making sure we have contingency plans in place, making sure we have minimum quantities in place. And then you get into things like emergency preparedness and response. That was one of your poll questions. Many people have, you have an emergency response plan for a fire or a tornado or a hurricane, depending on where you're at. But there is a huge gap in infectious disease prevention or infectious disease outbreaks, emergency preparedness and response. So we're helping build those. We're learning more and more about contact tracing and how to conduct something like that effectively for the different industries. And then you get into documentation management. How do we ensure that this information is always kept up to date? How do we make sure this is effectively communicated to the people that work in this facility or frequent this facility? So it's a very comprehensive program that we try to help build with these facilities to, again, help give you that third-party validation and confidence, knowing coming into that building that it is safe. So I've already mentioned a few different venues that have jumped on board. We do have some schools. I'm working with a school in Orlando at the moment. Lots of hotels and stadiums. We have transportation networks, bus systems, train systems, transit systems, spas, museums, convention centers are really big. And right now I'm down in Dallas right now because we have several cities, including the city of Dallas and the city of Arlington, that are getting their municipal buildings and golf courses and parks and recreations through this process as well. So we are covering a large swath of people in different facilities. And as I alluded to, this is really a partnership. This is not something that you would apply for. You submit an application and it's a pass or fail, and you pay the money and it's gone forever. This is a total partnership that we use, and we try to use our position in the cleaning and disinfecting industry and our network of members and our scientific advisory board to build and help maintain the most robust process that we can for cleaning and disinfecting over time. This is not a one-time thing. This is something that will continue on and help people confidently reopen. So what we've seen is that, and what I'm sure you've all experienced, is you're looking at cleaning and disinfecting in a different light now. You're much more aware of what you're touching. What are your high touch points that, in the grocery store or even in your own home? You're more aware of touching your face. You're more aware of people wearing masks, people standing too close to you in line, whatever that may be. But the confidence we are seeing comes in how visible this new normal is. How visible are your cleaning and disinfecting procedures? And a lot of people are having to shift from, we'll clean and disinfect overnight so we don't disrupt anything during the day. People don't want that anymore. They want to see you out there, boots on the ground during the day while they're there, see it visible. And there's a number of consumer surveys that confirm that. Kimberly Clark conducted a survey and asked people, what gives you the most confidence of cleanliness in facility? And the vast majority of the responses was, how clean are their restrooms? So I understand in schools that is probably the biggest challenge in keeping things clean, is kids are not the most cognizant of cleanliness, but that is a huge indicator. If you clean and know how to understand cleaning and disinfecting of a restroom, you can have confidence in the rest of the building that is up to those standards as well. So as you, I'm sure all know, schools are a very complex beast when it comes to thinking about cleaning and disinfecting of the different spaces. So all of these different facilities that I've named, you can take one piece of every one of these, and a school has one piece of them all. You've got gymnasiums with seating and bleachers. You've got football stadiums, you've got locker rooms, you've got industrial kitchen setups, you've got cafeterias, you've got classrooms, teachers lounge, you've got a pool. So you have all of these very different spaces that have to have, you know, a complete thorough think through to understand what are the different aspects, what are the different risks within each of these different spaces. So being able to work effectively and efficiently is really, really important with schools. There's a lot of choices out in the market right now. Obviously, we're on a Victory webinar. We know all about the electrostatic sprayers. We're a huge, huge fan of that. But you also have to look out for all of the snake oil that's on the market and all the opportunists that come out and try to convince you of their product being the most effective. It can be very overwhelming, and that's what we do as a professional community in the ISSA membership world is being able to have some sort of scientific validation of these products, of these chemicals, to make sure these people aren't selling you up the river without a paddle with this new amazing technology that isn't effective and gives you a false sense of security. A silver lining in all of this and in the nature of a pandemic is necessity drives innovation and necessity drives inventions. So what we're seeing is a shift in the industry to be more innovative. And Victory, the electrostatic sprayers are a perfect example of that. They've been around before this, but you know, it's tough to get your hands on one right now because they're so sought after and they're so effective. But we're seeing a lot of automation come in. We're seeing that what people want to see, as I mentioned, is a visible process that you have. We've seen some really cool and interesting ways that people have adapted and innovated. I'm sure a lot of you have been out to eat. Menus are disappearing, and I think that's going to be a thing that stays around, where you go scan a QR code and you read the menu on your phone. Or the hotel that I'm staying at allows you to download an app and use your phone as the remote for the television. So there's a lot of cool things that are coming out of this. So that's an exciting thing that I think we can harness some of that innovation during one of these tough times. So one question we get frequently is, okay, once we have a vaccine and it's next year, 2 years from now, do we really still need to go through all the trouble of this enhanced cleaning and disinfecting? And I think what this has really shown all of us is how disgusting things can be and how dirty ourselves, how infrequently maybe we've washed our hands after coming in from outside or playing at a park. So I think that level of awareness has really been risen, and I think is going to stick around. So outside of that, yeah, we're in a pandemic right now. This in no way, shape, or form is a finite process. We will see another one. There's going to be more and more of these that pop up, and we will have to, again, prepare, respond, and recover to things like that. So now what we're learning is the importance of scalability, the importance of being able to respond to an emergency like this, but also, again, like I said, the routine frontline preparedness that comes with that. Now, what goes along with that is training and competency throughout this process. So what I'm hopeful that this flu season is severely deadened from all of the things that we've had to adapt to and clean and disinfect and be more cognizant of. So I'm hopeful that our flu season is greatly decreased this year. So what does this look like in the future? Our emphasis by the occupants of all these facilities is going to be focused on health and wellness for the time, for the near future. So this is certainly not a one-size-fits-all program, but we need to think about what are our layouts of these buildings? What are the spacing needed? What different technologies can we utilize to step our game up? How do we manage security? How do we manage the balance of productivity with infectious disease prevention measures? So there's all these different things that we're having to take into account, but I think it's going to make us more efficient and safer as a whole, as a community. So to end, I'll again repeat that schools have an enormous responsibility ahead of them. You're being asked to do a lot with a little resources, and try to prevent being that next breeding ground for an outbreak. So we're happy to be partnering with Victory. We're happy to be involved and keep kids healthy, and we're certainly happy to provide any guidance that we can throughout these processes in these first couple months of schools opening. So please do not hesitate to reach out to GBAC or ISSA. We're happy to help. So thank you.
Hey, Steve, great job, great information. I mean, I know it's like you went through a lot, and I don't want people to be overwhelmed by that, and more I want them to be encouraged by there's so many resources out there from GBAC, and this is just one of my favorite ones. We have this in our resource tab here, but just 6 steps to a proper risk assessment. We use this a lot at Victory, and we give out this resource a lot. It's a really good checkpoint for both infection prevention and infection control should there be an outbreak. So definitely go download it from our resources here on this webinar, but go to their website so you can see that as well. So thank you, Steve, for that. So hey, Michael, I'd love for you, we just got a lot of great information, from GBAC, but I'd love for you to come on and just talk to us about ISSA and the great resources that you guys have that everybody on this call can take advantage of to help them as they move forward.
Yeah, thank you, David and Steve. Awesome job, great information. A fire hydrant or a fire hose on occasion, but yeah, we are here to help. Some of those available resources, David, you mentioned it earlier, a room full of well-trained custodians can save more lives than well-trained doctors. And we have ways to train custodial staffs within your facilities and educate them around the standards across the industry, around the globe, certifications, media publications, and industry events, networking. We learn from each other. From my experience is more than what we do in books. And so going into those training and education offerings specifically, it starts with our website. We have cleaning and disinfecting for the coronavirus. If you go to the next slide, David, just resources out there from news and updates, industry training, downloadable tools, government updates. Things are changing on an instant. It's crazy to think March was not even a year ago, and everything changes so rapidly. So being in the know and up to date, this is a great resource on our website. And then the training and education. I mean, I imagine some of the offerings that we offer through, GBAC with our GBAC Online Fundamentals course that Steve mentioned earlier, to our Cleaning Management Institute, known as CMI, which is the educational arm and training arm of ISSA. And I would just imagine if you on your staff had custodial technicians trained and certified, as well as going through the fundamentals course that GBAC offers, would give them the tools and resources to be those well-educated custodians that can have the confidence to attack and prepare for and respond to on a scalable response, being able to properly assess situations in the area of the facility where it's happening, and it does equip them. So training and education is a great component and some of the things that we offer. And then on a standard side, developing standards with the help of our members from manufacturers and industry professionals across the globe to develop global standards in our cleaning industry management standards. And that's our SIMS program. And then some of the other resources and tools kind of derived from what we call our value of clean. Our brand, our association's mission is to change the way the world views cleaning in a way that a modest investment in a cleaning operations can have a huge impact on human health and the absenteeism and the presenteeism within your facilities, for example. And one of the things that spun off that is our K through 12 clean standard. And we got a quick video, but this kind of gives a snapshot of really the impact of how healthy facilities, and it starts with it being clean. Yeah, and with it being clean on a hygienically science-based level, where it's monitored and confirmed through the processes and procedures that you learn from SIMS and our CMI and our GBAC programming, really pays huge dividends. So David, if you want to play that, just to kind of give the audience out there an example.
Ever wonder how dirty your child's school is? Without the proper cleaning measures in place, chances are the facility is not as clean as you would like. As the Worldwide Cleaning Industry Association, ISSA has a solution for schools to maintain clean and safe facilities that contribute to the ongoing health and success of our students, teachers, and staff. The bottom line is that dirty schools lead to sick people. In fact, students miss 38 million school days each year due to the flu. Elementary school students catch 8 to 10 cold or flu cases annually, and the average student is absent 4.5 days a year. And when kids get sick, teachers and staff do too. The cost of these absences is significant, both socially and economically. Frequently absent students are more likely to drop out of school, while absent teachers cost schools more than $25 billion every year. Plus, hiring substitute teachers costs the U.S. $4 billion annually. Cleaning isn't just about appearance. It plays a pivotal role in keeping students and teachers healthy. Germs can be transmitted by touching a contaminated surface and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. So what are the dirtiest areas that are most likely to transfer contaminants? What you assume is the filthiest might actually be the cleanest. With that in mind, schools should increase cleaning frequencies in these hotspots to avoid contamination. The unfortunate reality is that school budgets are being cut, and the problem is getting worse. On top of that, less than half of schools offer guidance for infectious disease prevention, and cleanliness is only defined by visual inspection. However, when quantitative standards are used to measure cleanliness, health can improve. The ISSA Clean Standard K-12 is a free tool your school can use to measure and improve cleaning effectiveness. The standard includes desired levels of cleanliness, recommended monitoring and audit procedures, plus how to use inspection results to create a clean, safe, and healthy learning environment. Download it today at issa.com/clean-standard and improve your school's health. This video has been brought to you by ISSA, the Worldwide Cleaning Industry Association.
Yeah, and that kind of basically goes over our Clean Standard K through 12, which is a great resource for you guys to prepare, and it could be a great step towards if the resources in the START facility program isn't quite there yet, and you are still planning on preparing for, as a lot of you in the earlier polls responded, that you do need help. And so we're here to help. Some other resources are these media publications from our ISSA Today membership publication to our cleaning and maintenance management will really bring you thought leadership within the industry, new trends, new technologies. And then in addition to that, we have events and networking opportunities from, young professional organizations to our charities organizations to our trade show. Getting involved, it's the Super Bowl of the industry and the event. Victory has been involved and very involved in the past, where you guys can see the new technologies in the industry and get into the educational tracks, such as our Green Clean Schools track that we partner with our Healthy Green Schools and Colleges campaign, and specifically around our infection prevention and control track. And so these are all resources that are available. Registration is free. And then if you want to get highly involved through an all access pass, there's even more exclusive, very in-demand educational resources that we would love to have you participate in. November 16th through the 19th, I got to throw that plug in there, but just another great resource that we have to offer to the industry professionals like yourself if you're looking for additional tools as we navigate through these new times. As far as infectious prevention and control track, and then some of the other things, we are in those the hot flu season, and schools and facilities are opening up back to the communities. And we, from these 5 key tips, in terms of flu fighting and cold, we do have the common cold and flu guide on our website that is available to our members as well, as it covers how to control infectious diseases, not only coronavirus, but other cold and flu viruses as well. So love to engage and answer any questions that you may have. Come see us at the show, our virtual experience show in November. Schedule a meeting, favorite us, and we'd love to have a conversation to see how we can help. So David, thank you. Steve, thank you. Wonderful to see you guys again. And back to you, David. Thank you.
Hey, Michael, I appreciate that that information. And listen, for those folks that are on this webinar today, a part of joining us in this leading the charge and learning these new resources from our partners of ISSA and GBAC, you'll get a post webinar survey that you can complete. When you complete that, you'll get this certificate. It's also another way to get another entry into the giveaways that we're going to do, because we're going to give away those 5 Victory backpacks and 5 GBAC online training courses, which is great. And hey, this Keep Kids Healthy campaign, while we're done with the 4 training webinars, again, we've recorded everything. We are going to move into the month of November with more of a sweepstakes on our website sprayer giveaway for the whole month of November. But while it's going to be great to come on there and enter to win sprayers, the real benefit is the content that we're going to be putting on there from our partners. Great content on how to battle the flu, how to battle coronavirus, and we'll really update that content and be a resource provider for you to continually come back and link out to our partners. We have other partners that we work with as well, and our job is to get you as much information as you can so that you can be those infection prevention experts that we know you desire to be. So again, we were recording everything. We're going to send the slide deck. I do want to just peek into the questions tab to see if there's some, let's see if there's anything on here which would be good. Someone asked about specifically on school buses, and listen, this is a school bus that I call them rolling incubators of bacteria. So absolutely, you'd want to find the right chemical solution to spray in the morning after you drop those kids off, and then again in the afternoon when you drop those kids off. But a lot of times, and we've noticed a trend that if a school tends to have 45% or more of their students bust in, that they have a higher percentage of influenza outbreak versus if there's less than 40%. So that's a really big deal. So so absolutely, school buses would be great to disinfect. So we'll keep going here. Someone asked us what our best chemical solution that we'd recommend. And listen, we are chemical agnostic. We don't have a dog in that fight. However, if you do go to our website at victorycomplete.com, you will see our partners listed in there. So we do have some really good partners that have really great chemical solution that spray. You can use anything that's the consistency of water-based, and that's approved to be airborne either through a mechanical or conventional sprayer. You can spray through our electrostatic backpacks. So tons and tons of options for you to go ahead and spray in there. So I would go look and see where some of those chemical partners are. Someone asked about Hawaii. We're worldwide. So if you go to our website, you'll be able to find distributors that are close to you there in Hawaii. And then, so to get more information on GBAC certification, I will send you a link so you can connect with them. And then we also are going to share your information with our friends from GBAC and ISSA, and I'm sure that they'll be reaching out to you as well. Someone asked about if a solution that has a high alcohol level would work through our sprayers. Again, I'll go back to, you can spray anything that's water-based and approved to be airborne. Most of those high alcohol-based solutions, they recommend not to spray via airborne. I would always go back to your chemical partner and ask them if they've tested it through an electrostatic sprayer, what that impact would be. We've seen some pretty high levels, maybe not up to the 80%, but I would go back to the chemical partner for you to make sure that they're testing it and give approval for it before spraying it through there. So, and someone asked, is vinyl oxide a partner of ours? They are for sure. And then I've heard you can only use certain chemicals in there. So again, it's one of those things where there's certain chemicals that have electrostatic on their label, but going back to the benefits you get, you can spray anything that's approved to be airborne, whether it be through a mechanical or conventional sprayer. You can spray through our electrostatic sprayer and get the benefits to it. A lot of our chemical partners are starting to add, which is kind of this new category of electrostatic on there. However, feel very comfortable that if you're using a solution that is approved to be airborne, that they'll get the benefits on there as well. Lots on chemical. I would definitely say, go to our website. Someone asked about a microbial shield, a 30-day barrier like Zuno. Again, great product to be sprayed through our sprayer. You guys can do your own research on microbial shields, which will be applied after disinfecting, whether you guys think that would be good. But for sure, We've seen plenty of folks that have used Zuno and like similar microbial shields to be sprayed on surfaces to do that. Do you guys recommend ATP testing prior to disinfecting? We would say we recommend ATP based on our friends from GBAC. We would recommend ATP measurements because it's a measure of cleanliness, not of disinfecting, so that you would measure before you cleaned and then measure after you cleaned, and then that would tell you how clean your surfaces are, basically how prepared your surface is to be disinfected. If you really want to get a measurement of disinfecting, you'd have to take some swabs, send them to a lab to really look at those cultures to see what's on those surfaces from there. So anyway, it looks like that's a majority of the questions. We'll share the deck, we'll share the recording. Thank you so much for being committed to being infection prevention experts and really for your commitment to keeping kids healthy. We'll come on board here just to make sure I say goodbye to everybody. And Steve, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to be on this webinar. For the hundreds of folks that are on board, we appreciate you doing that as well. And we really do look forward to partnering with you. Stay close with us as this influenza season breaks out. We'll make sure and give you some more valuable resources, especially from these partners. So Michael and Steve, thank you so much. And to everybody else, hey, have a blessed day and thanks for being a part of this. See you, everybody.